Hey brother. Jay, so just when you thought Star Wars was just going to fade into the back of your mind, the new Rogue One trailer dropped today and I am excited all over again. So in today's video, I'm going to give my review, analysis, and predictions. Prediction number 1, everyone dies. Rogue One, to give you some context, and in case you didn't know, is going to take place between episodes 3 and 4, and is going to tell a story of how the Rebel spies steal the Death Star plans and set up the entire plot for episode 4. In fact, in the opening scroll of episode 4, it makes reference to this specific event, so now 30 years later, we're finally going to see what happened. So the trailer opens on our new heroine, Jen Erso, who is being led by a Rebel soldier wearing an awesome matching uniform from the opening scenes of episode 4. If you notice in this scene, she is wearing handcuffs and we can hear her rap sheet being read. To me, it sounds like she's trying to justify her actions. Like, all of the things she does isn't necessarily for one side or the other, she's just rebellious in nature. But rebellious like a teenager is rebellious, not rebellious like, let's take down the Empire. More on that in a second, but let's first talk about some of the things we see during the voiceover. First, Mon Mothra from episodes 3 and 6 reveals that Jen has been on her own since age 15, so yet another orphaned hero. Also, I love that they still have those large, clear, light panel things in the background. I think back in the 80s, they thought those were going to look super futuristic, but now they just kind of look Star Wars-y. We see a guy who kind of looks like a discount Poe Dameron, and there's a few other shots like that throughout the trailer where whenever we see a character solo that obviously isn't a bad guy, I'm kind of thinking those guys are all going to be part of Jen's team. Next, we see a shot of Jen walking with a droid behind her, who I'm assuming is going to be a companion of hers. Then she baton slaps a couple of 80s looking stormtroopers before an explosion goes off. I'm guessing this is going to be the scuffle that leads to the rebels recovering her and leads to the conversation that we're currently overhearing. The next scene is maybe the coolest part of the trailer. It features a stark white Star Destroyer with a giant shadow moving behind it, which zooming back reveals is the final piece of the Death Star going into place. I really like just how white the Star Destroyer is. Like, up to this point, the Empire has faced no opposition, so there are no scratches on it at all. Then back to Jen's briefing, we see an officer ask her, "Is that clear?" And we get a very resentful, "Yes, sir." It kind of makes it sound like the rebels are just offering her a deal. Either work for us, or we are going to turn you over for all of these things. The important takeaway is that she is not aligned with either the rebels or the Empire at this point. So unlike most Star Wars characters, Jen is not clearly good or bad. She's kind of a gray character, and I think throughout the movie we're really going to see her get tested as to which direction she leans. Next, we get a first look at who I am assuming is going to be the main villain of the movie, sporting a ridiculous white cape. No capes! Then, a few shots later, we see Forrest Whitaker. That's the actor, not the character. I'm betting he's another team member and or a mentor for Jen. Moving on, we get yet another different looking stormtrooper. My only hope is that he does more than Captain Phasma. Then we see Jen, another guy, and that droid again, running down a hallway. So it is pretty customary in Star Wars movies for the lead to have a droid companion. But what's interesting about this one is that it's a combat droid, and all of the walking combat droids we've seen in the past have been bad guys. And in that same scene, she seems to be carrying some kind of a disk drive. Could those be the Death Star plans? Next up, I think we're meeting another team member. We see a guy walking out and beat the crap out of some stormtroopers with a stick. At first, I wasn't sure if this guy was fighting them or training them, but either way, I think it easily emphasizes how useless stormtrooper armor is. I mean, come on guys, it's already embarrassing that your armor doesn't protect you from blaster shots, but a stick? Upon closer inspection, I think he is fighting them, and I think he's blind, which is why nobody's shooting at him at first. Kicking Jenga is what he's doing. If you look carefully at his eyes in the following fight scene, you can see that they're closed the whole time. Blind. Then we see a shuttle blow up, which happens sometimes. Next, White Cape proves just how ridiculous he is by showing that he can't even walk through shallow water without ruining it. No capes! Then we get my next favorite scene, a dark hood kneeling before a Zordon tube. kneeling before a Zordon tube surrounded by Imperial guards. Imperial guards means we have to see the Emperor, right? I mean, I hope so. But the bigger question here is, will we see Darth Vader? I don't think that that's him kneeling before the tube, but he has to be around, right? I mean, he can't possibly be missing the construction of the Death Star. Plus, listen to this. What, you didn't hear it? It's pretty subtle, but I'm pretty sure you can hear Vader's breathing right here. It's there, trust me. I'm 83% sure of it. Moving on, we see a crazy looking guy running from an explosion. Calling him a team member. Then Jen is charging into battle against the AT-ATs. Oh, I see you brought batons to a giant elephant laser fight. Smart. And then we see a final shot of the Mockingjay wearing a TIE Fighter pilot uniform, but it looks like it's been customized to carry her batons. Thought she had a bow and arrow. That's the play-by-play, but what I think is the most revealing thing of the whole trailer is the voiceover by Forrest Whitaker that's happening throughout the second half of the trailer. What will you do when they catch you? What will you do if they break you? If you continue to fight, what will you become? There is a lot of subtext going on here, especially when you pair it with her resentful agreement to work with the rebellion.
Yes, sir.
She works with the rebellion, but because they gave her no choice. So I think Whitaker is calling her out here. Like, if you get captured by the Empire and they give you no choice, which side will you choose? Who will you become? All in all, this movie presents a tricky situation for the writers because we know their mission is going to be successful, so they have to build suspense around something else. I think Jen struggling to choose her path will be the source of that suspense. Also, this is why my prediction is that her whole team might end up dying, because that would also build significant suspense, and they're not in any of the subsequent movies. Jen will start without a cause, but in the end, be forced to die for one. For my question of the day, do you think that Jen will survive this movie, and are you as excited about this movie as you were episode 7? Leave your thoughts in the towel section down below. If you would like some more Super Carlin Brothers Star Wars action, you can click right here where I discuss the parallels between Kylo Ren and Severus Snape, or right here where we discuss who Rey's parents could be. Jay, that is everything that I've got for you today, man. I will see you next Thursday, because next week we are going to be swapping days. You'll find out why.